Hi, I'm Anna Maria Arabia, the CEO of Science and Technology Australia, Australia's peak body in science and technology, representing about 68,000 scientists across Australia, across disciplines. We rely on science more than we realise, but it's becoming really obvious that many people don't understand just how science works and therefore don't respect it. Ideas are tested again and taken through the rigorous peer review process. Then they're published and tested again and again. It's important that we understand how science works because then we have the confidence to make small decisions that guide our everyday lives and the big decisions that will really drive the nation's interests. We hope this gives you a better understanding, not just how science works, but the sort of conviction that scientists bring to their work every day. On behalf of all scientists, I'm asking Australians to back this campaign and to take the time to understand just how science works.
Well, I know I've had a really great idea when I experience this just sudden moment of elation, but it's followed almost immediately by a moment of doubt. We're really taught to be critical in science, and so we doubt ourselves as much as anybody else.
One of the nice things about what we do is I've done heaps of stuff that just doesn't work, and looking back was the most daft thing I've ever heard, but there's good stuff in there as well.
I think the hardest part of the process of coming up with an idea is sort of figuring out, well, is this new? Have I actually, am I reinventing the wheel? And then once you realise that it is new, you're sort of going into new waters. It's somewhat dangerous out there, and you're sort of finding your way carefully as you go along and developing the idea and hoping beyond hope that it is actually something new and innovative and exciting.
So ideas don't just magically appear out of thin air. I really need to immerse myself in the world. I think about it, I read volumes about it, I poke it, I see how it reacts, and then when my head's just really teeming with information, then I have to find a quiet place to think creatively, to think clearly, and that's when brand new spanking ideas come about. Designing experiments to test an idea is one of the most important parts of the process. Getting the design right is crucial to being able to test the idea in a rigorous and an unbiased manner.
I set out a series of steps that I need to go through. Okay, I've gone through the literature, fair enough. Now, in doing that, I'm identifying areas where there is a gap, and I need to fill that gap. And to fill that, I need to maybe go out in the field and do some more research. I need to discuss with colleagues. I need to involve people from other disciplines. And you build up that essential model of what it is you need to do, and then you go out and do it.
The difference between science and politics is we really don't mind getting it wrong. If I do something and later on it turns to be an absolute load of crap, then that's worth knowing. Often getting it wrong is simply a way of telling you that you've got to change direction and perhaps do something a little bit differently.
Ultimately what happens is you do your research, you do the analysis of the sediments, you do your analysis of the processes that you think leads up to this. You go through an incredibly lengthy process of writing the paper up, analysing the results and so on, and you submit it to your peers, to a journal, where it gets looked at by people who do the same type of work as you, and they review it with a critical eye, and they either say, well, that's complete and utter bullshit, or they come back and they say to you, hey, that's really quite neat. Let's get it out there and see what others have to say about it.
When you submit your study for peer review, it's as if a whole collective of scientists start working with you to improve the quality of that work.
The importance is to get it to people who completely and utterly hate the work that you're doing or think that the work you're doing is wrong. And if it gets to them and they come back with comments that are either supportive or against it, and if you can convince them and it comes out, it's starting to then become more acceptable.
So peer review is a really complicated global system of quality control on our science. Ultimately, we're all striving to produce a more reliable understanding of the world, and peer review is one process that helps us do that.
You do self-review, other people look at it, and ultimately the consensus is that what you're saying makes sense and is worth releasing to the public.
Nothing in my line of business is 100% certain. 99%, but not 100.
When we make a measurement, that measurement comes with something called a measurement uncertainty. Now, this doesn't mean that we think we're wrong, but we are able to put bounds on how right we think we are.
Making decisions based upon science that isn't 100% certain is something that's been going on for years. Scientists make these decisions. We get involved in legal discussions and legal debate, and we put up and we always say, look, this is the science as we understand it today.
But by the time we come to tell politicians that, for example, we believe that there is such a thing as global warming and it is caused by humans, the science body is very much behind that, and we will put our reputations on the line because of the process that it's all gone through.
I really trust information that I read in science journals. I'd build a bridge based on information that I read in a science journal. I'd never build a bridge based on information I'd heard on the radio. So in that sense, the information is certain. But on the other hand, I'm never going to stop questioning. I'm never going to stop investigating the world. That's my job.